If you're staring at a pile of articles and wondering how to turn them into a coherent literature review, you're not alone. One of the most common questions graduate students ask is, what structure am I actually supposed to use? Should I organize by themes, by chronology, by theory, by variables? And the more you read, the more confusing it can become, because different papers do it differently. Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Courtney from Grad Coach. Over the years, our team has helped over 10,000 graduate students complete their dissertations and theses. And today, I want to give you a clear overview of the most common ways to structure a literature review and how to choose one that fits your study. First, it helps to understand one key principle. There is no single correct structure for a literature review. What examiners are looking for is not a specific format, but a logical organization that helps the reader to understand three things: what we already know, how knowledge has developed, and where your study fits in. Structure is simply the tool that makes all of that logic visible. One of the most common literature review structures is the thematic review. In a thematic review, you organize literature around major topics or concepts related to your research question. Each section represents a theme in the field. And within that theme, you synthesize multiple studies showing patterns, agreements, and disagreements. For example, if your dissertation is about burnout, your themes might include measurement approaches, organizational factors, and individual psychological factors, and maybe outcomes of burnout. Within each section, you compare studies, highlight trends, and identify gaps. This structure works particularly well when a field is conceptually diverse, and your goal is to synthesize strands of research rather than trace a timeline. Another common approach is the chronological structure. Here, the structure is organized according to how understanding of your topic has developed over time. You might begin with foundational studies, then move through key shifts in theory or methodology, and end with the current state of knowledge. This structure is especially useful when your research question is tied to how ideas or practices have evolved. For example, a literature review on inclusive policy might trace early integration models, then mainstreaming approaches, and finally, contemporary inclusion frameworks. Chronological reviews help readers to see progression and turning points in the field, but they require you to do more than list the studies in order. You need to synthesize what changed and why it mattered. A third option is methodological structure. In this approach, you organize the literature according to research designs or methods used in the field, such as qualitative studies, survey research, experiments, and mixed methods. Within each section, you evaluate what each methodological tradition has revealed and what it has missed. This structure works well when different methods have produced different insights or sometimes conflicting findings. For example, in research on student engagement, qualitative classroom observations might highlight relational dynamics, while large-scale surveys emphasize motivational constructs. A methodological structure allows you to compare how knowledge varies depending on how it was studied. It also naturally sets up justification for your own design choices. Another widely used structure is the theoretical or conceptual review. Here, the literature is organized around major theories or frameworks used to explain the phenomena. Each section examines how the topic has been understood within a particular theoretical lens. For example, leadership decision-making might be reviewed through rational choice theory, bounded rationality, and sense-making frameworks. A theoretical structure is particularly strong when your study adopts or integrates specific theories. It shows examiners that you understand the conceptual landscape and positions your work clearly within it. So, how do you choose among these structures? The answer can be found in your research purpose. If your study draws together multiple strands of work across topics, thematic is usually the strongest. If your purpose depends on how understanding has changed, chronological may fit best. If your purpose centers on research design, methodological structures can be powerful. And if your purpose is theory-driven, a conceptual structure often makes the most sense. It's also important to note that literature reviews often combine structures. For example, you might organize your main sections thematically, but discuss theoretical perspectives within each theme. Or you might present a brief chronological overview before moving into a thematic synthesis. Hybrid structures are common, as long as the logic remains clear. A useful test of your structure is this. After reading your literature review, could someone explain how your study emerged from the existing research? If the answer is yes, then your structure is doing its job. If the review feels like a series of disconnected summaries, the issue is usually not writing quality, it's usually organizational logic. And one final point. Your structure should support the synthesis. No matter what approach you use, examiners expect you to compare studies, identify patterns, and show relationships among ideas. A literature review is not an organized annotation. It's an argument about the current state of knowledge and the need for your research. If you're still unsure how to structure your literature review, that uncertainty is completely normal. Many students refine their structure several times, and their understanding of the field deepens. If you'd like practical tools to help with this, check out our literature review templates and synthesis matrices linked in the description. They make organizing your sources so much easier.